Nice, thanks people. The impossible is happening. I talk and you hear me, and I'm here and you're there, so that's nice. So yeah, like just going to be a quick keynote about product growth and how to hack innovation with me and Katia. I'll start, and then she'll bring it to the practical level. Also, we'll try to be as to the point as possible, which I believe in our ability. So, yay! And then for us to start, we have this very nice sentences, so it gets powerful, and then you can read it.
So awesome.
Johannes, can you shut the door? Cool. Then, right. So basic context is like many times we have to misunderstand the concept also of innovation, and instead of like doing things different, to actually solve questions that were not asked yet. Yeah. So for this, like this keynote will be basically about design thinking. I think that some of you may have heard about it, so we'll bring it also to an Isaac level for you to understand about it. First, we'll go quickly to the process, and then after we'll bring to the practical level. So, basic concept of design thinking is work based on the double diamond, which is this picture here. See, one diamond, another diamond, two diamonds, and then they are double, right? So, what this theory brings a lot is like usually whenever we want to work with innovation, the first thing that we do is that we sit and then we brainstorm, right? We start to create ideas, and that's where we fail a lot, because this means that we start from this point, which is we start creating things and see what would work. But in the main key point of us to work with innovation, also for us to think about like in our Isaac products and the things that we are selling, is to work with the first diamond, which is the understanding part. So here you can see the whole process. We start with understanding, and then the first phase is empathy, which is when we brought our perception on the goal of the product, and then we go to define, which is when we come to one point of view, and that's why our perception decreases on the product. And then we start to ideate, when we start to brainstorm solutions for the one thing that we define as a product. We prototype, so when we start almost to get into the sense of trying different things, and then we finish. I'm going to go to a practical level now, yay. So the first part, to give some examples also, is to understand. And then for this, like the first part that we start is with empathy. And for this also, I'll ask you, like, how many times did you actually run customer interviews, you understand the real concept of our product, or that you've been in the product itself, to have a good understanding on how to evolve it, right? So for this, like, first phase, is the main point to understand what about the product. And there are many simple actions that we can do regarding it. So for example, the E.T. game that I've told Kat yesterday, which is like you have two people and have an object that you want to hack. So let's say you want to hack this phone, and you have to explain what is this phone for an E.T., right? And then everything that the E.T. says is like how and why, so that you question so much the real role of a cell phone that it's not actually something that I need to like call, but it's my way to be connected with the information, and I'm informed. So my real goal is not to call, but to be informed. And then this breakdown of the relay goal is the main core of our innovation as well, and that we need to do with our products. So for this, there are a lot of things that we can do, and I also invite you for, which is like research, interviewing, shadowings. So for example, shadowing DHL interns about like their day jobs, so that we also understand that the relay value proposition is a suggestion. Talking with specialists and doing empathy map are things that help us to be in the shoes of our customers in order to really understand their needs. Right? And the main goal of this is that we get much broader in the sense of what are the things that we are trying to solve with the thing that we do. So far, does it make sense? Is it clear? Yeah, good. With this, we come to the second part, which is define. And that's basically like after we have a lot of information, we choose something that we need to work on. So that we have a lot of problems and we don't try to solve all of them. But you see what is the problem that we want to solve and we want to be the best at. And then we can, for example, use we map our insights and we cluster and define focus. And then for this, we work with tools, for example, customer journey, customer journals also is something that can help us to see what is really valuable out of all the things that we've mapped. Yay! Then I'll just go quickly, and by this point we already know what we want to solve. What? Okay, I told you that it would be ugly. Yeah, so for this, like, we start to co-create in a more practical level all the things that we could do, and we can work with brainstorm and evaluation, and then like how might we questions, which is basically brainstorm, like a lot of questions, how might we do things that could solve the issue in a different way. And that's also when you start to co-create, and then the innovation in a practical level happens. And after this, it comes to the end, which is more like prototyping, piloting, and interactions, which is like MVP, which is minimum available product, role-playing, storyboard, things that come to a practical level, also your innovation. Cool. And then now Kati will bring also to the practical level with one example for us.
Thanks. Yeah, look at my awesome graphic. I did not steal it at all. Yeah, so what I want to tell you is the kind of the story of Global Volunteer Scholarship, because if you look at it, how it started and how it's developing now, it's actually a really nice example how we created something based on what our customers need and want. I was just talking to Neely last week again how this actually happened, because we were talking about our NFB meeting and how we can take the most out of it. In 2015 we had an NFB meeting, and there was a workshop, and it was about really different topics. And at some point, one of the NFB members came up with the idea, why don't you sell the social projects that you do, as it's like now becoming a bigger thing, and Global Talent was always kind of difficult with the big national partners. So it was basically just an idea that came up there, which came directly from our customers through the process that they had there in the workshop. It was then taken forward and tried out with pilots. And already there it was somehow the idea that it's fitting to your target groups of people that you want to recruit into your company, but it was still really raw. Like the people that were matched here to the 3 companies we were working with were EPs that were already matched, and it was just like looking, oh, can we find someone who has an IT background or whatever, but it was not perfect. But it was at least trying it out and learning from just doing it and just experiencing it. What happened then in the next year with all the learnings and insights we were able to get from the first pilot was that it was really well fitted to the needs of the customers, because for them it was not only important to have like any people from the pool, but have really specific people that are interested in their company. So we started to recruit on campus with the company logo. It was also interesting for them to get a reach. So we started to collect also data on this topic, and through this and through all the feedback and experience that was gained in the first pilot, we were able to improve the program. What also happened was really interesting is that on one company meeting, the company actually said, that sounds interesting, but yeah, we don't have this much of a problem to recruit people, but this sounds really interesting for something to develop people. So why don't we do it for our trainees? Is that even possible? And then with coming up with this idea, we just started the first internal program. We've never done it before. We're just like, okay, why not? Let's try it out. How does it need to change? And then again, like with this program, we had the first round, and then had an evaluation meeting again. Like I listened to all the stories of the EPs, and we saw really clearly what is even more important to take care of regarding quality, because those people are in the company. So how can we evolve the product that we really make sure that the quality is good there? So it was really always just trying out, seeing how it works, close to the customer, what the needs are. What the next step was that we looked into our internal struggles that we have, because we saw there's a huge need and it's working well, but our internal capacities are just not working for this. So we started to automate lots of steps. Like in the 6 partners round, Anna had to send out emails to every EP by hand. Like the first initial email to 1,200 EPs was sent by hand. And now Laurin took care of it. Just like automatically. Yeah. And what the really interesting thing is that this is a program you can develop further. Like I had a talk with Bertelsmann, who initially also wanted to take part of it. I don't know what will happen now exactly, but we looked then, for example, also in OGE, because for this company it's really important to have entrepreneurial employees, and that's a value that they put onto their like outside, but also what they want to develop in people. So OGE is something that's fitting really well to all those companies who want to explore more the how to make people more entrepreneurial. But then another question is also, if now lots of companies get interested in it, how can it be more exclusive, or how can it be bigger in funds and then it's less exclusive, and all the different ways to go there with premium partners or whatever. And for that, it's really nice in the BD work that you can talk directly to the people, because you kind of have to. It's not like with you when you're working with your EPs, it's natural that you go to them to talk. But I think you can really nice see how you, through the talks with your customers, can see what's moving them, and then also check what are the strategy lines inside of the company and how it can all work together. Yeah.
And then just to give you also an example connected to the Diamond also, that's Global Entrepreneur that we did in Brazil. And then, that's also a more explained version of how you can do it. So Global Entrepreneur also started without anything, and then we started no clear outcome of what the product would be. And then the first phase, which would research, was when mainly half of the network back in Brazil was interviewing startups and interviewing young people from startups that could go abroad in order to see what was actually important for them. And then they understood that actually these people, they didn't want a closed job description there. That if they knew the direction or the area that they would be working, they would be fine. And with this, for example, we had the insight, okay, then we don't need to have a job description that is packed. And then the second thing with the startups is that we saw that from their perspective, one people for 3 months doing something that other people are already doing for 1 year was not important. So we realized that if we didn't have a clear outcome, it wouldn't have value for them. So the main part is here, we were having a lot of research and talking directly with people from the pool. And then when we increased this, we also saw the different needs. That the need was not the same need of companies from Global Talent, for example, which is solve a specific challenge in a area or a specific profile that they are looking for. Our role was not to see they need this profile with these characteristics we need to get. They just had challenges and they didn't have people because the owner had to do everything. And that changed everything regarding the 2 projects. So then we start to see how we could then organize to scale this up. And that's when we started to packaging it. And that was the moment here when we started to create also the project itself. Yeah. And then the other part was basically a lot of implementation feedback from the customer. And then we had 5 different trials, mainly in 2 LCs, on how the startup was giving us feedback. And only when we got to the point of having a lot of ideas that we could evaluate, that we chose one. And that was the concept of the project. And from that moment on, that we've packaged, so we had 2 LCs running different things. They all had 3 different concepts of Global Entrepreneur they were selling. Yeah, 3 or 4. So I had 10 ideas, they 10 were selling 10 different things. And then we saw that one idea out of the 10 ideas from the 2 LCs that was more successful, and that was the one that we improved. And that from that point on, we went for building, test, iterate, building, test, iterate. And yeah, we lost the other 9 companies that we've tried different things or more in the beginning. But once we got the product consolidated, we were able to sell back to them because they understood also that they were piloting. So just roughly so that you can also see how this can be more practical level. And then our main question for you in general, is how much are you also challenging the way that we are doing things today and our processes, and how often we forget the real core of our products and the things that we need to do, and therefore we just like copy paste stuff that we can influence, and that's it. Really.